Thanks, Watts. Appreciate it. You got both. Firstly, congratulations, Colin, Stephen and Miles. Huge achievements and very well done, very well deserved. Alan Mitchell said it very well when he said earlier. I reiterate everything that he said in relation to everything that everyone does to put on these sort of events, so thank you very much. Thanks, Ian, for all you do in organising these events, and thanks for messaging me 5 times in a row without a response. I appreciate that. And
I'm used to that, mate.
Thank you for following me up, I appreciate it. Aldo, you're the best player I've ever seen play. So it was mentioned before that not much happened at Ainsley, at least, between 1997 and 2009. So I disagree. Nick Paine happened. Miles said it very, very well. Nick was absolutely one of Rorke's favourites. So 7 years in Ainsley Juniors, Nick started in the under-9s. Now you can come up here and you can fact check a lot of this stuff, but this is fact at the moment. 4 junior, you can fact check. Yeah, there's a team. 4 junior league BNF awards for Nick. 105 goals in 1 under-14 season in 2002. First grade debut, probably why he only played about in between 50 and 100 junior games. First grade debut at 15 years old. 2005 second grade premiership in an undefeated season that year. 26 goals in 07 and third in Ainsley's BNF in 07 and in the AFL Canberra Team of the Year that year. So obviously we were going through some stuff in sort of 06, 07, 08, 09, but we won't talk about that. But 08, 09, Nick didn't go through those things and he moved to Perth and played for South Freo in the Waffle, and that's obviously not what we're here to talk about now, but he did go over to the Waffle and play for South Freo, and that was kind of well documented as the start of his soft tissue injuries, which we'll come back to later. He came back from the Waffle for the 2010 season. Obviously we lost the grand final by a kick or so in 09 without Nick. Came back from the Waffle with the number plate Casper, which we will also unpack later. Back to Ainsley in 2010, 54 first grade goals that year. 2010 first grade premiership, obviously. In 2010, the first premiership since 1997 in that period of where nothing happened. Kicked 5 goals in that grand final, which is a little bit of a theme for Nick. 2010 leading goal kicker and again in the AFL Canberra Team of the Year that year. We obviously roll into the NEAFL for 2011 in a new competition. In the prelim he kicks 5, as he does. In the Eastern Conference Premiership, we call it a premiership because we won the premiership there. He kicked 5 against the Swans in the grand final for us. We win by 10 goals, Nick. We roll up and play in Darwin or Alice Springs, wherever we played, and that didn't count, so it's too hot for us, but we won the favourite year. 2011 NEAFL Team of the Year for Nick. 2012, we're still in the NEAFL. It's pretty tough times from then for the next couple of years in the NEAFL. Very, very, very strong competition. He comes third in the BNF in 2012. Kicks 5 goals in a losing prelim in 2013, still in the NEAFL, and plays his 100th first grade game that year. Out of the NEAFL at the end of the 2015 season, and obviously then we start with effectively a NEAFL team in the AFL Canberra competition from 2016 onwards, which was a period of joy for us as players. 2016 first grade premiership, kicked 6 goals, as mentioned before, 6 goals in that game, 5 in the first quarter against Queanbeyan. Wins the Alex Jezelenko medal for best on ground in that game. Kicks 45 goals in 2017. We win the 2017 first grade premiership. He kicks 3 goals in the grand final. 28 goals in 2018. He plays his 150th game that year. He only kicks 1 goal in the final. I'm not sure what happened then, but that's an anomaly, Nick. Soft tissue injury, maybe, put it down to that. Played 12 reserve grade games in total, and played 153 first grade games. Nick's family, Soph, Oscar, Jack, Gary and Dyer obviously played a huge part in his success and are all here today, sitting on table 2. Thank you for being here. He's been a sponsor. Clap, yes. sponsor through what we will no longer mention as a previous real estate firm and now through Momentum. He's been a board member. He's 24th on our all-time first grade games at Ainslie. He's now our newest life member after the other three that have been inducted today. So Nick, if you can please come up to the stage. You get a new badge.
Got to show some respect for the
That's it. It's all out of respect. So, firstly, what happened in 02? Under 14s, 105 goals in the season. How was that?
So I played with Tommy and Cuz in that year, so I've got to give some props to some teammates there. So I was a fully grown man at 14, and I think that really hasn't grown since. That's genuinely what's happened. So I reckon I played a little bit in the ruck and stuff in under 14s as a fairly mature body, as you would say, and then really took that out on the little kids. I think about like my boys now. They're like 4 years off that age. That would be super disrespectful to them right now. So yeah, that's what happened. They were just way smaller than I was.
Yeah, I think I used to play the Eddies and I did play.
I didn't want to mention that. You were one of the kids that I
was one of those kids. I was late to AFL and played against Ainslie in the juniors before 18s, and we used to come up against Ainslie. There was no disrespect to anyone else that played for Ainslie at that time, but it was effectively our 10 meetings were discussing Nick Paine and what we were going to do without him. And they were actually, you weren't the best team in the club. Like Maris would do it, there were other teams, like Ainslie weren't that good, but they had Nick Paine. So we had at Ainslie, our three best players would run around and just follow him around, and he would play centre and he would still kick 7 or 8 goals. He was genuinely a man-child at about 13, 14. And obviously you played first grade at 15, so like, what was it like playing ones with like, you know, Knowlesy, Cav, Grails, DJ, Roy, Toddy Pulford, Pete McGrath, those guys? What was it like actually contributing to a team like that at 15?
Yeah, it was awesome. I had to remind Reece Langan that I played with him as well, and I don't reckon he had any idea who I was that game. We lost my first game against Western Creek, and I remember Knowlesy telling me and Matt Barber not to come into the rooms after the game because of what he was going to do, and then he subsequently kicked the door off the hinges at Footy Park, which was pretty cool. So it was pretty exciting. Barb's got dropped because I thought they were like charity first grade games for some kids that came through. I actually started in the under 14s, 15s team that year, which was really weird, going from 14s, 15s all the way through to first grade at the end of the year. But kept my spot, and I think I got like punched. I don't know, Dad, you remember that? But I think Queanbeyan was the first final we lost, and I got punched before the game started. So they obviously had the same as a 15-year-old, yeah, which was pretty interesting. Sort of tactic now as an adult man, thinking that you go and punch a child before a game of football. But anyway, it really worked for Queanbeyan, and I still hold some real disdain for that club because of that. But yeah, like it was a pretty interesting sort of way to start. I played a lot of rep footy that year as well, and yeah, I felt like it was just it was a cool way to join this place and start the relationships that I had with a lot of people in the room.
And I mentioned before soft tissue injuries. Do you know like hamstrings and calves? How many all up?
Yep, I reckon I'm probably close to 30 hamstrings. I missed the whole of the season once with a calf. So yeah, pretty good at that sort of stuff. I reckon I did maybe like 5 or 6 calves. The reason I kicked 1 goal in that 2018 was that I did my hamstring 2 weeks beforehand, and Aaron Wiles gave me some they were herbal tablets for 2 weeks, and I wasn't training and I didn't do anything until game day. So still to this day, I have no fucking clue what the game was. And all I wanted to do was make it to half time. I knew if I made it to half time, it's not an embarrassment if I tear my hamstring and then that's it. And so after half time, where I had 0 touches, I just started playing. And so yeah, I was pretty happy to get 1 goal, but Pay my fucking dues, mate.
You've done. So what about the when you roll back in from the waffle in your, was it a white WRX or is it Skyline?
Skyline. This is Skyline, Casper.
I'm not a car guy. Casper number plates, why? How?
So Fast and Furious was a really big impact in my life. So guys need to know that. Yeah, no, I had that, but it was just one of those phases going through. Didn't really have a lot going on. I went to WA literally to play football. They'd come here when I was 18 to try and recruit me. I thought they're fucking dreaming. I'm going to play in the AFL. So sorry guys. Then that didn't happen. So ended up going to WA, playing over there. South Freo were an excellent organisation. Showed, I guess, the professionalism. I wouldn't trade South Freo any day of the week for this place. But gave me a really insight, I think, into what professional football is like. I was really lucky. I played my second year of football there with guys that were out of the AFL. Two in particular were really close to me and took me under their wing for whatever reason, but Peter Bell and Jeff Farmer. And those guys were excellent. I still can text Belly, who still has stuff to do with Fremantle, and he's a ripping bloke. Side note, he gave me $200 cash because his horse won at the races on my 21st. But those guys really instilled, I think, that sort of what it takes to be a sort of top level player. And I know Cole jokes that I didn't like training. I love training. I just couldn't do it if you wanted me to play on the weekend, all right?
I had here that Colin mentioned you didn't like training, which I agree with.
We had the hamstring club. You and I had the hamstring.
Say about that, but I actually can't throw stones. But we used to walk laps for days at training because that was all that we could do.
Yep.
That was it.
That's exactly right. So Mick and I, we weren't great contributors to the team meetings on Thursday either. I used to mark Rorky's team sheet or like the information that he had on the game coming up. It was riddled with spelling errors and grammatical problems. So I would mark them and then leave them in the room for Rorky. And so he figured out that I just took the piss. I don't care who I played against. I didn't know any of their names. I don't. They're not playing. I'm not playing on them. They're playing on me. So it's
a forward pocket mentality.
So Nick and I would go and walk laps to make sure that we didn't get injured on Thursday night for the 40-minute training that we did. So yeah, that was it.
So you won 5 first grade flags. Do you have a favourite grand final win?
The first one is obviously, I think, the one that is the most special because it's the first time you get to have that taste of success. I've spoken on this stage heaps of times about what this place expects, what this place is about, and its success. And so to be able to join so many people in the room that have won premierships, that was such a special day. I do remember Dad coming out onto the field and we had a big hug and stuff, and it was just such a moment. Being able to experience that with what become your best mates and people that you spend your life with afterwards, I think now becomes a bit more special. But first premiership was awesome, and then also, aforementioned Queanbeyan, being able to take him to the cleaners in 30 minutes was pretty awesome as well. So,
well, that game was over a quarter time after those 5 goals from you.
It was funny. It was really funny. The start of that game in 2016. So I didn't kick a goal at the end where our supporters were, which is really disappointing because you want to kick goals in front of the boys. But Queanbeyan had a full stand of people, and it started out pretty intimate, like a few yells and whatnot. And after maybe 3 goals, I think the murmurs started, dying down, and it was a little bit quieter in that stand. And I do remember vividly kicking the 5th goal, and a lady yelled out, "You suck, Paine," and someone in the Queanbeyan crowd said, "Shut the fuck up."
I remember Pricey was playing on me, and I was playing half forward flank, you were playing forward pocket, Swatty was playing on you.
Yeah.
And I remember after your 3rd goal, the runner came out to Pricey, who was standing next to me, and he turned to me and he goes, "Fuck." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "The runner's coming towards me." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I think he's going to fucking ask me to play on Nick." And he goes, "Mate, you're going down to Paine." And he just goes, "Fuck." was standing next to me and I was like, bad luck, mate. Oh, what can you do against that? 5 goals in the first quarter of a grand final, tore it apart. So the last thing that I want to ask you is, who is the best? You were obviously a fucking phenomenal kick of goal, kicked a whole heap of goals for Ainsley. If I had my life depending on it, I'd probably have you for the ball inside 50. I don't think I haven't really seen Miles, but I still think I picked Nick.
Sorry, Miles.
But who would you say, we've played with some very, very good football players, who would you say is the best set shot at goal you've ever played with?
Obviously Aldo, so... I only had one job, so like I played with some phenomenal players that I was there to finish off the work, yourself included. Like, it probably goes to say, like, Mick won the best and fairest in 2010. Mick won the best and fairest from the wing. He was the greatest person to lead out to the footy with, because he just hit you on the target every time. He and the tits, I reckon James Kavanagh was pretty good. I remember Cav kicking a goal once after the siren from in front of our bench. It was a talk, it probably went about 75 metres. He turned around as it was in the air as well, like Steph Curry, which was pretty impressive. And I think Nick Salter as well was pretty good kick for goal as well, which is really cool.
Oh, you've probably got some people that you'd like to thank. So Nick, congratulations, life member, very well deserved.
Thanks, I want to talk to ages. But this place is very special for me. Obviously, being here since under 9, I will start by thanking Mum and Dad, because as a parent now, having taken kids to footy for a few years, that's a fucking job. So I love you boys, but it's a lot of work. But it's awesome. It's awesome. I think that you can't get to whatever level you're going to get to without support of some really brilliant people around you. I had excellent coaches through the whole experience here at Ainsley, which is still going, obviously. I think I've had the best teammates I could ever ask for. Many of who are my best mates, who I would do anything for. I still think of myself, even though I do real estate as a job, I still think of myself as a football person shaped by this place. I've known people like Tom since I was a little kid. I met my wife here, who just happened to live 2 doors down the road, which is pretty cool. But this place has been amazing. To everyone that's supported me in the medical department for the journey, they were instrumental in trying to scrap this together and do stuff. It's a really exciting part of life for me. Having finished football, being able to look back. Also, as a side note, isn't it great how good you become once you finish playing football? Because just listening to Nick talk just then was unbelievable. Like, that was definitely, there were some lowlights. I remember getting told by Rocky before a 3/4 time address at Queanbeyan that he was going to spray me to send a message to everyone, and I was like, man, this is the most warranted thing I've fucking touched the footy, so go for it. And it was one of those things that I learned a lot of lessons from, because so much of sport passes over to business, passes over to life, passes over to things that are outside of this place. But I think that I wouldn't be the person that I am today if it wasn't for Ainsley, if it wasn't for the friends that I've got here, and it's awesome. Nearly every single table here, I have someone that I have a story about, someone that I love, someone that I care about deeply, that I can go and spend time with, and it makes me so happy to be part of the fabric of this club. Life membership's been something that I've wanted for a long time. I've been the butt of jokes to Huey and Mickey and Pete and Brady Scholes and people like that for a long time, thinking, what the fuck do I have to do? I've tried to get on the board, I've tried to play footy, I've tried to do everything there, but it's been an amazing experience for me to do this sort of stuff. So I just want to thank everyone as part of the football club, everyone that put today on as well. Mick for driving down. I knew you were coming, I didn't say it, I just had a feeling that you were going to come down and say this, because he is one of my boys, he's one of my brothers. But the person that probably puts up with the most of the shit that I dish up is Soph. So I wanted to say thank you to my wife as well for who has funnily enough. So we got together on 16th. So again, perk of having a neighbour. We got together on 16. We got together on 16. She saw the highs and lows of this place. I think it was a really a long journey that we've had here together as well. And I'm so happy that Cole's in charge of the juniors because he's doing an amazing job. And I'm so glad that my boys get to come and be the next part of the journey of the Paine crew that are here. So thank you, everyone.